afternoon. Chairman Pangilinan has asked me as his vice chair to reconvene this hearing of the Committee on Appropriation. This committee is reconvening the fiscal year 2015 budget hearings. We began this morning's hearings with the University of Guam at 9:30, and we are now here to discuss the budget of the Guam Community College. As a preface, and the chairman usually puts this on the record, the FY2015 budget request proposes a lump sum amount in the amount of $288,918,184 from the general fund and $50,922,749 from various special funds to the following agencies: the Guam Department of Education, Guam Commission on Education Certification, University of Guam, Guam Community College, the Legislature, the Office of Finance and Budget, the Unified Judiciary, Public Defender Service Corporation, Mayor's Council of Guam, Office of Public Accountability, Office of the Attorney General, and the Guam Visitors Bureau. The Office of Finance and Budget has prorated and estimated that the FY 2015 budget branch request for the Guam Community College totals $14,569.12 for general fund operations and $3,966,528 for miscellaneous appropriations, which are taken from the general fund, Tourist Attraction Fund, and Manpower Development Fund. The variance between the 2015 executive branch request and the current FY 2014 appropriation is an increase of 2.16% in base appropriations and an increase of 24.21% in miscellaneous appropriations. Let me just state that just so that everybody understands that the decision really wasn't ours. It seemed the governor took the total revenue appropriated for the executive branch departments, and which left the rest of us with $288 million, and the committee then prorated it. I know that's not the number that you guys are looking at, and the reason that we're having the hearing today is for you to justify an amount different from what the prorated amount is. I have the president and the chairman of the board and two others who they'll be introduced in due course, but we just wanted to have put on the record of that and then hear your testimony, and the chairman has asked me to ask a few questions afterwards, but first, Madam Chairman.
Hafide, Senator Cruz, and committee members. On behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Guam Community College, I respectfully request the continued support of the Guam Legislature for GCC's fiscal year 2015 budget request of $17.6 million. In the past 8 years, GCC has experienced a 54% growth in enrollment. For fall semester 2013, we had 2,727 students enrolled, our largest number of students ever. In May of this year, we also had the largest graduating class on record at the college, 384 students. GCC is fulfilling its mission as a leader in career and technical workforce development, providing highest quality student-centered education and job training in Micronesia. Despite this unprecedented growth and the addition of 4 new facilities to the campus in the past 6 years, the budget request proposal for fiscal year 2015 is only a $2.6 million more than what GCC actually received from the general fund in fiscal year 2014. It is because GCC has been successful, has been such a fiscally responsible steward of Guam's taxpayer dollars that we humbly request the full amount of our budget request to cover operational costs necessary to support the growth the college has experienced. The college has garnered clean audits for the past 13 consecutive years. If GCC is given the full $17.6 million, you can be assured that the money will be used responsible manner to support the mission of the college, which is to provide Guam and the region with competitive workforce. On a personal note, I must tell you how proud I am to serve as chairwoman of the Board of Trustees of this progressive institution. It is my honor to come before you and request this budget because I know that the hardworking employees of GCC, led by President Okada, will use these public funds for the greater good of the people of Guam. There is no more important mission than the education of our people, and GCC fulfills this mission proudly and responsibly. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on behalf of the college this afternoon. President Okada and I look forward to your favorable consideration and to yet another successful year for our students. Sizuos Maasi.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam President. Oh,
Hafaday, I'm the student member that sits on the Board of Trustees, and I would like to say that I fully support the budget request.
for the record, can we have your full name?
Elmarie Anderson.
Okay, great. Madam President.
Hafaday and good afternoon. Vice Speaker Cruz, Speaker Wampat, Senator Uggan, Senator Morrison, thank you for this opportunity to provide testimony on the Guam Community College fiscal year 2015 budget request. For the past several years, I have sat at this table, providing the information required to adequately defend the college's budget. This year, I would like to start out my testimony this afternoon by telling you about two of our students. The first is a young man named Gilbert Pasqua. He was a student in the GCC Career and Technical Education AutoCAD program at George Washington High School. Gilbert graduated and started classes at Guam Community College to earn his associate's degree in survey technology. He has worked with well-known Guam architect Andrew Laguanya and then secured full-time employment at the Hyatt Regency Guam. This young man plans to get a surveyor's license once he graduates and puts his considerable talents to use on our island. Several years ago, the island's seasoned surveyors came to us at GCC and said that there were no up-and-coming surveyors and that there would soon be a shortage if nothing were done about it. Well, I'm here to tell you that we are doing something at GCC, and the result is talented young men like Gilbert Pasqua. Our island is very fortunate to have him working here. The second student is Celine Simon, and she is from Pohnpei. She graduated from Southern High School and had no way of affording college. So last summer, this young lady joined the GCC National Transportation Summer Institute that is funded by our College Access Challenge Grant Program. There, she learned about FAFSA and financial aid, and she applied for and received a $1,000 College Access Challenge Grant aid, which she used to pay for books. Celine is now a student in our police academy. She wants to continue on in the fall and get her associate's degree in criminal justice, and then go on to get her bachelor's degree. Her main goal, however, is to go back to Pohnpei and work at Customs and Immigration there to help out on her home island. I relay these stories to you because they are examples of what we have been doing at GCC. On behalf of Gilbert, Celine, and the other 2,700 post-secondary students and the faculty, staff, and administrators at the Guam Community College, I come before you today to respectfully ask for your support of our fiscal year 2015 budget request of $19,999,789. The $17.6 million that the chairwoman spoke about earlier is just from the general fund. This amount, which we deem to be a very sustainable budget, will allow GCC to meet the needs of its population and the island's workforce. Although GCC's operation costs have increased with the addition of several new buildings on campus and with the additional faculty needed to instruct our growing student population, GCC has still been able to keep those costs at a minimum. Some of our cost-saving measures include the installation of solar panels on the roof of our 4 new buildings to reduce our power bills, the inclusion of a rainwater catchment system in our LEED Silver certified foundation building to help reduce our water bill. We've also retrofitted lighting fixtures and have been replacing air conditioners with those that have increased energy efficiency. We've been innovative, providing new programs, leveraging funds, increasing the number of graduates, upgrading facilities, and implementing best practices that will further ensure that our students in the high school are provided a career pathway that transitions them from secondary to the post-secondary environment. Toward this goal, we have established the dual credit articulated programs of study, or DCAPS, so that our CTE students enrolled in our career and technical education programs at GDOE can already earn academic credits ranging from 3 to 15 post-secondary credits, even while they are still in high school. We plan to expand DCAPS in the coming years so that by the end of their CTE programs in high school, our high school students will have earned enough college credits to be awarded a post-secondary certificate in a CTE field of study such as automotive, construction trades, or allied health. This program virtually guarantees these students some level of post-secondary education upon graduation from high school, a pathway to success, if you will. Our DEAL, or dual enrollment accelerated learning, works the same way, except that this focuses on math and English courses that students can register for at GCC in order to earn both high school and college credits. DEAL is now open not only to students in the public schools, but also covers both private and homeschool students. Likewise, for people in the villages, we have established community access points, or CAPS, which provide opportunities for employability skills training for those who are unable to come to our GCC campus. Because of barriers that prevent them from doing so, like transportation and childcare, we go to them. In collaboration with the mayors, GCC provides them with training on KeyTrain, a component of the Work Key Skills Assessment at the college level. In the past several years, you have been an important part of these innovative initiatives by supporting the college budget, although I must say, not necessarily to the levels of financial support that I would like. This budget request also includes the amount needed to carry our career and technical education programs into the new Teason High School. Our CTE programs in the public high schools provide opportunity for over 2,300 students, which comprise over 20% of the total GDOE high school population. Our fiscal year 2015 budget request includes $2.121436 from the Manpower Development Fund. The MDF supports our apprenticeship program, which currently has nearly 400 students that are working with nearly 100 companies on island to earn their valuable Journey Worker certificates. The apprenticeship program is one of our flagship programs at GCC, in that it allows us to partner with island businesses in order to produce the skilled workers they need to make their businesses successfully. Unfortunately, in the years past, the MDF has not been a reliable funding source for GCC. It is extremely important to our apprenticeship program that the 70% of the MDF that is allocated to GCC be kept intact. GCC's record of 13 consecutive clean, low-risk audits is proof that we are a fiscally responsible entity. Everyone at GCC protects that audit status by knowing and following Guam's procurement rules, government rules, and federal regulations. We do so because our mission to provide education and job training for Guam and Micronesia is paramount to any successful economy for our island and our region. Any financial advisor will tell you that a financial track record such as ours is an extremely secure and worthwhile investment. So, Senators, I am telling you here and now, as the CEO of Guam Community College, that the $19.999 million you invest in GCC over fiscal year 2015 will bring you a great rate of return in the form of enhanced programs, upgraded facilities, and most importantly, a more educated and skilled workforce. Investing in students like Gilbert and Celine will bring Guam and our region decades of positive return on our tax dollars. Senators, GCC is grateful for your support you have shown our students through your legislative budget for the college. We ask you to continue that support by granting the college our full fiscal year 2015 budget requests so that we can continue our mission and help residents like Gilbert and Celine build a better quality of life for themselves, their families, for Guam, and for our region of Micronesia. Sizus Masi.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Though I have been asked to ask some questions, I think I'll defer first to the Oversight Chair of Education, Speaker Wampat, to be the first to ask some questions this
positions?
So in our fiscal year 2015 budget, we are anticipating that there will be an increase in power based on the rates. And, you know, even though we're trying to produce energy to help support the amount that we actually pay for power, we'd actually be paying a lot more if we didn't have our PV panels. So our consumption is actually gone down, but the rates seem to increase. And so the amount that we're paying, we'll need to anticipate that the increase in the power rates will be affected. So part of that is that component. We also have, there are some additional positions that we are currently being asked to support in terms of the new Tizen High School and the additional position for Ukadu ProStart. And although we have asked for those to be currently funded under the Title V under GDOE, that has not yet been approved. And so unless there is additional funding that has been provided to GCC specifically because of our role as the state agency for career and technical education, we will not be able to offer those programs. So as GDOE High School expands, it requires that the appropriation for the Guam Community College also expand in terms of the high school support. So there are 2 positions right now. You know, there are some, we have a minimum of about 6 programs per school, but Tizen right now, we are only anticipating that we will be able to set up 2 for the upcoming school year, primarily because of the space allocation, the requirements for ordering equipment, and then the number of students. We're still trying to gain an idea of what students are actually going to be moving to Tizen before we promise, you know, that we're going to be able to offer programs. So those are 2 areas. The other area, of course, is in line with the Competitive Wage Act. We did implement the Competitive Wage Act at its current 50%. We do not know when the remaining 50% will be implemented. So that has been factored into the fiscal year 2015 budget. Okay, so based on the current budget that we have for the Competitive Wage Act, this now has been rolled into the personnel and the staffing pattern provided in fiscal year 2015. So those are 2 particular areas that we anticipate some of the increase. Now, normally the college asks for a lot more than we actually receive. Part of the reason for us, again, is to support the increased number of students that we have both at the secondary levels and the post-secondary levels. We are increasing the number of faculty using some of our non-appropriated funds, and the tuition increase that we did several years ago has a special allocation for additional faculty, but those are some of the basic areas. Of course, the highest cost being the difference between the current fiscal year and our request is in terms of employees' salaries and benefits.
Thank you very much. And it's important that you actually, list exactly what these increases are, and these are areas of course, budget items which we just can't forego, because we did notice that there is that increase of $821,000 for power, and I was going to ask that question about your agreement with GPA. So you're still not able to realize that much savings because you still have that increase of $821,000.
So the agreement we have with GPA, it has just recently was approved by CCU to go out to bid, and so that project has not started yet. And so in the event that the project comes to fruition in fiscal year 2015, then of course the amount of money that we would need for power would not be necessary.
Are you able to realize any savings with these solar energy that you're going to have in this agreement that you have with GPA?
Not yet, because we are still in the, yes, we're going to realize an increase in savings in terms of how much we pay for power, because part of the power will be generated by the GCC rooftop. In terms of whether or not that's going to stabilize with the increase in the power rates, we don't know. So we're working, again, it's through the bid process, through GPA, not through the college. It is through the bid process that we will start to recognize what the total cost saving. We haven't actually quantified that amount of savings yet. We do know that of the 4 buildings that currently have, and soon to be 5 buildings that have PV panels on them, that we are producing power and our power consumption for the total campus has been reduced. The consumption has been reduced again, but as the power rates continue to increase. Plus, if you're comparing over the years, we've got actually three new facilities and a renovated facility, and we're now expanding a current facility, so we're adding a much larger footprint, where power is necessary.
So then the 821,000 right now is just the anticipated power rate based on maybe what GPA is giving you in terms of what the increase could be. But once this is are all the panels in place, and then if they are, then we could see then this actually be reduced.
If all the panels are in place, then, or if increased panels are in place, then yes, the amount will be significantly reduced.
And then, of course, your new additional position is not necessarily by choice, but because now, yes, the new Tejan High School will be opening, and you're going to have then two programs there.
We currently are able to stand up two programs given the short timeline, but we anticipate that there will be a request for more programs as they start to move the students from the current high schools, because two programs is not going to be enough to support or mirror the other programs that the other high schools have. So right now we are anticipating that we will have either lodging management and automotive at the new Tejan High School, but at some point we'll have to include ProStart, marketing, health occupation is one of the other areas. So they can have, depending on space and depending on funding that's made available, they could have up to 10 programs, because we do have 10 different programs that are in high schools. It's just that not all high schools have the same.
So with the increase of your population, how many FTEs then are you requesting? Teaching positions? Are these for teaching positions?
The total increase in the number of positions based on current year, actually no, it's the same. Any increase that we're doing right now, okay, so we're using some of the vacancies that we currently have. So any increase in the number of faculty, staff, or administrators for post-secondary is done through our non-appropriated fund. And any high school support is done through the general fund. So we will probably, because we currently have 215 positions, this budget request for 215 positions, we will probably, depending on how the budget rolls out and whether or not we get the Title V funding to start off those programs, we'll have to use general fund FTEs or vacancies to support that Tejan High School.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad I had your oversight chair ask those questions, because she did put on the record the question the chairman wanted me to ask about that 821,000, or that increase in the power rate. We also noted a increase in miscellaneous. Could you just state for the record what that miscellaneous increase is going to be for?
Miscellaneous in terms of the GCC budget is the tuition and fees for the apprenticeship. So that's how the category so the Manpower Development Fund pays for tuition and fees associated with the apprentices. That's where the big, it's all under miscellaneous. It's not a contractual. So there is an increase. And then the additional amount is the $270,000 for the loan, on the USDA loan.
Okay. Because I think if we can just get that breakdown, the 270 for the loan, and how much is the?
270,000 for the loan is on page 9, 278,922, and that's under miscellaneous.
And for the apprenticeship program
And the apprenticeship program is on page 7, and it shows an increase from the current 1.154 to 1.558, and that's tuition for MDF.
Okay, great. So that comes closer to. There was also a new contract that the committee wanted clarification on is a proposed contract with Illusion.
Illusion is our integrated database, and so it's not a new contract. It used to be called SunGuard. They changed their name because they got bought out by a new company, and so Illusion is the SunGuard DataTel merge.
Okay.
And so those are the integrated database that we currently run: financial aid, HR, advancement, the payroll, everything. Everything is integrated, including our student records and registration, online registration. It's all of that.
Thank you for that clarification, because the committee was trying to figure out where that name came from. But
Yes.
if it's the old SunGuard, then.
Yes.
And the chairman has always asked at all the hearings that I've sat in with him on. Currently, the Competitive Wage Act, the amount of money that was provided or allocated to GCC was $157,334. Is that correct? Is that sufficient to meet the needs of the Competitive Wage Act for this current fiscal year?
It is sufficient at the 50% level, although the implementation does not restrict the remaining 50% to be retroactive to January 26. So if they implement the remaining 50% to January 26, it will not be sufficient.
And
And we don't know.
And how much will that be? If, well, at some point you're going to need to provide the committee some of that data, that you did, that the 157 was sufficient, but that if for some reason in the next coming months they decide they're going to implement it and say it's retro, then we need to know what that amount is.
So it will probably be an additional $130,000. That includes benefits.
All right, and for the upcoming fiscal year,
It's included in
it's
our
included.
staffing
It's
pattern.
included in the staffing pattern, the full implementation, not just.
We anticipate that on October 1st, it will be at 100% implementation.
Okay. So just wanted to make sure that we were clear on that, and the committee wanted to have, though we have no qualms with it, we just thought maybe you should, on the record, explain the 83,000 increase in equipment. We understand it's for computers, but just to have on the record the reason why we're upgrading. I mean, I understand that.
So several years ago, when we had the federal funds associated with the implementation of the integrated database, we were able to access equipment as part of that Title III funding. Although the college continuously requests for funding to support, or continuously submits for applications for federal funds, there are some computers administratively that need to be replaced. So, for example, we did the implementation of our integrated data system back in 2006, and so in the registrar's office, for example, a lot of those computers become obsolete in running the upgraded and the new versions of our integrated database. We always, and in our tuition increases and in our tuition funding, we always reserve the priority for instructional areas, so that the instructional areas and the support for the student labs are done first before the administration. So for the most part, it would be the administrative support or the computers necessary to support the administrative staff.
Okay, great, thank you. And I apologize to my colleagues. I didn't recognize everybody that was here. Senator Frank Uggan, Senator Tommy Morrison, and Senator Tony Ed. I want to thank them for being present. And of course, our speaker, who's your oversight chair, goes without introduction. We all know that she's the chair and the speaker, and so it was. I'm glad that she asked all the questions and the harder questions and what the chairman left to me. Senator Tony Ed, do you have any questions? All right. No. Again, we want to commend the Guam Community College for its clean audit, to the fact that there was one other thing that I noted that we thought was odd, and I think in anticipation of the buildup, we did note in the budget that the executive budget had an increased amount for I think it was manpower development. Are we going to be fully? Will we have sufficient amount? I remember last year. Was it just last year or the year before that we had to take it from TAF? Do you anticipate us needing to?
I'm glad you asked that question, because out of the current 1.770 million that is appropriated to GCC for fiscal year 2014, we have received 500,000.
Then I
About
did ask one good
29%.
question after all.
So,
On my own. But please expand on that. I think it's imperative that we find out more about this and what your anticipated need is for next year, what your actual expenditures were for this year, and what your anticipated needs are, and how much this $1.2 million short is doing to your operations.
So right now, because of the experience we had in fiscal year 2013, when the 1.770 million was appropriated this year, we didn't load 1.77 million in budget. We loaded for authorization about $1 million. So we anticipated already up front when we loaded the budget onto our financial system that we weren't going to get $700,000. We've been holding back as much as we can in terms of purchases to support the apprenticeship program by either applying for other federal funds or just holding off on purchases until we actually recognize the cash. So we're holding the fort because I don't want to overexpend. There is, we're just really cautious about not spending more money than is actually budgeted, but more cautious about what money is spent versus what's actually received. So we're holding back in expenditures for a Manpower Development Fund because we anticipate that we're going to take a hit again this year on that. And so oftentimes, although we request in our budget, we request for, $15 million or $17 million from the general fund, where the shortfall comes in MDF, if it's not made up somewhere else, it has to be made up through another appropriation that we have. And we usually take money from either the non-appropriated fund to cover it or from lapses in the general fund.
But what was the actual expenditure for that program last year, and what do you anticipate the expenditure or expenses will be for that program running at its optimum? Because if, as is anticipated or being proposed, that we go through this buildup, your GCC is probably going to be the one that provides most of the manpower that's going to be necessary for this. How much will you need to be able to operate this program fully so that we meet the manpower needs of this relocation, if that is the decision of this government and the federal government?
Okay. Last year, MDF, including the TAF that was additional last year, we spent $2.487 million, but that was because of the supplemental that was provided.
But you didn't receive that.
Last year, that was based on what we actually received, because we did get the TAF, $1.5 million. Yes. And so in the current fiscal year, we're averaging, right now we are running expenditures, even though we have a cash receipt of about $500,000, we are running current expenditures of about $600,000, knowing that the amount that we have received is only through March so far. So there is still a couple months. We anticipate that we'll probably get an additional $500,000 from MDF this year.
Well, that
Because
doesn't
the
sound like it's going to
semester-
be sufficient to be able to cover your actual expenses. for the
Right.
program.
So the bottom line is going to be that if the Manpower Development Fund or another fund doesn't fully support the apprenticeship program, that we're going to reach a cap where we can't train additional apprentices. And so I would get more information for you on that and provide that to the committee so that they're able
Yes,
to
please.
see that.
I wasn't asked by the chair, but I think I'm going to ask on my own that you supplement your testimony today
Yes.
by providing us with a detailed explanation of the Manpower Development Program and the fund, what's happened over the last couple of years, and what you anticipate over the next fiscal year, and especially in light of the move or anticipated move of the relocation effort, what kind of a manpower development program you're going to need to implement in order to meet the manpower needs of the community, and what the shortage is going to be.
I will provide that additional information. We did request, based on our meeting with Speaker Wampat a couple of days ago, we did send a request to the Military Build-Up Office to get information as to what specific occupational areas do they anticipate so that we can train the students in the right areas. Because right now we still don't know what those occupational areas are. So we can be training apprentices in plumbing and electrical, but if it's in carpentry or someplace else, then we've missed the boat. So we're trying to do that alignment now by garnering information.
And that was not clear in the SEIS.
It has not been clear since 2006, 2010, and currently. So we're still seeking that additional information.
Have you submitted that as a comment to JIGPO on the SEIS, that you can't plan without...
Ever since the CMTF, when we participated in the CMTF back in 2006 through 2010, those specific questions and that particular concern was submitted. We have submitted that concern again recently. Yes.
Great. So if we can just get that for the committee's information, so that we have it on record that this is how much it was requested, and especially how much you guys are planning for the next fiscal year, if GCC is going to be expected to start training the manpower needs of the community for the upcoming years.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
No, thank you. Sure. Nothing else? Well, this committee will now recess the budget hearing, and we will notify the proper agencies and provide the public with notice and with a schedule of when we will reconvene the budget hearings. This committee is now in recess.